Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this week's session on lessons for Ta'lim Haq. Just want to make sure you can all hear me. So if you can hear me, can you please just send me a quick message saying or something. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Right, okay, so last week we started the session on the Shia group. So just a quick background again, that the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he mentions in a hadith that this ummah will be split into 73 groups and only one group will go to paradise. So the Sahaba they inquired from the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who will that group be? So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he mentioned that this group will be the group that shall follow me and follow my Sahaba. So I mentioned last week that the Shia group, the founder of the Shia group was a person whose name was Abdullah ibn Sabah. So Abdullah ibn Sabah, he was a Jew who caused a lot of strife between them. So Abdullah ibn Sabah was a Jew who caused a lot of strife between the Muslims, and not only himself, but his father also. His father, he was a Jew. He was a resident of the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. His father also was very famous for and notorious for spreading conspiracies. His mother name was Jashan. He lived in Yemen, but he came to Medina Munawwara later on, and again he caused a lot of strife and political strife and weakness to Islam. So you could say that the founder of the Shia group was in reality a Jew. So I don't want to go into much detail, but what I'd like to discuss is what are the beliefs of the Shias. So the Shias have 6 to 7 to 8 main religious beliefs. The first belief is that they believe that the Quran is not in its original form. The Quran that we have today is not in its original form. And remember, I'm talking about the Shias here. The second belief is that they have something called the rank of Imamat. Imamat is such a rank in their eyes that it surpasses prophethood. So they basically believe that Imamat is better and a more supreme and a more higher status than prophethood. They believe in many Imams, and as I discussed last week, the Shias, they actually believe in 12 Imams, and they believe that one of the Imams will emerge from a cave at the end of time. The third belief is that when Prophet ﷺ departed from this world, all the Sahaba except for 4 became disbelievers. Astaghfirullah. What a claim. We seek refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from such claims. Um, every single Sahabi became apostate except for four. That's their belief. Number four, they believe in a different kalima. They believe that there are changes made to the kalima tayyibah. And number five, they believe in something called mut'a, which is a form of prohibited relationships. And number six, the last kind of belief they have is it's obligatory to believe in raj'at. And again, I'll describe each one as I get to each slide. Now, what we've got to remember here is that the Shia, they have a belief called taqiyya. Taqiyya means that they hide certain beliefs. If you were to maybe experience an encounter with a Shia, the Shia person, if he's true or if she's true in her or his beliefs, they wouldn't go into any detail about what they actually believe, because to them, to hide their true beliefs is a reward, and that is actually called taqiyya. The Shias, they have many famous books. They have a book called the Usulul Kafi. They have many of their books, and all these beliefs have been described in detail in their books. So they believe in 12 Imams. They also believe that the last Imam shall emerge before the Day of Judgment. And anybody who is a part of these 12 groups would be classified as a kafir. Another very important belief in their eyes that they hold is that they also slander Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radhiyallahu ta'ala anha, again, which I will go into detailing. So the first belief they have was regard to the Quran Sharif. So what's their belief regarding the Quran Sharif? They have various statements and they have various literature in their books, and all of them are against the principles of the Quran and against the principles of the Hadith. They go against the principles of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is the group that we are a part of. The group who will enter paradise, inshallah. So Shia books, they contain about 2,000 narrations, and from them narrations, what we learn is, according to them, the Quran Sharif has been changed and it has been altered. They also say that Hazrat Jibreel والسلام, when he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it contained 13,000 verses. And today, approximately, the Quran Kareem has 6,666 verses. So their claim is that the Quran has been distorted. There are certain chapters of the Quran which are missing, and those chapters will be brought out by the last Imam, according to them, Imam Mahdi. So their claims are that love for the original Quran has been cancelled. What they claim, in all, if they do believe in such things. Yeah, if they hold such beliefs, then what it consists of is, first of all, that the original Quran doesn't exist according to them. So the love that we have for the Quran Kareem, the original Quran Kareem, doesn't exist in their eyes. They would also say that the Quran Kareem contains certain things which were not said by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They also claim, because they believe that all the Sahaba became disbelievers apart from 4 Sahaba, they would believe that the compilers of the Quran Kareem were not believers. And they also believe that the name of Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu had been removed from various places in the Quran Kareem. Every single belief that they have regarding the Quran Kareem is tantamount to kufr. If anybody believes in these kind of beliefs, which are the beliefs of the Shia, they will be out of the fold of Islam. So the answer is, according to the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Quran Kareem has been preserved for 1400 years plus. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran Kareem, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidun, that we are the ones who reveal the Quran Kareem and we are the ones who shall preserve it until the day of judgment. So lahafidun not only means that we shall preserve it in terms of the word, we shall also preserve the meaning. So it's a unanimous belief of all the authentic scholars, the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that the Quran Kareem has been preserved from the day it was revealed upon Prophet ﷺ till today. And whosoever holds any other belief, then they are out of the fold of Islam. Again, because verses of the Quran Kareem state very clearly that the Quran Kareem has been protected. So to believe that there have been any kind of change, as the Shias claim, that would be a belief contradicting Islam. That would be disbelief. The next belief is the rank of Imamat surpasses that of prophethood. Now, the picture that you see on your left of your screen is a picture of Ayatollah Khomeini. Ayatollah Khomeini was he was a ruler in Iran, and he held some very, very serious and he held some very notorious beliefs about the Sahaba. So in the books of the Shia, they have many beliefs which go against the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. For example, Khomeini, whose picture you can see on the left, says that from among the essential beliefs is that Imams enjoy a rank which no close angel nor any prophet can reach. So basically his claim is that the Imams, they have a higher status than the angel and they also have a higher status than the prophet. Now, that is absolutely ridiculous. It's against Islamic creed. We believe, the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah believe that after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Holy Prophet has the highest of status, and nobody on this earth has a higher status than the Holy Prophet. So to say that the Imams enjoy a higher status, they have a higher status than the angel or a prophet, is again disbelief. And there are various ahadith and there are various verses of the Quran Kareem which explain that the Holy Prophet ﷺ's rank is higher than any other person on earth. And after all the prophets, the highest in rank is Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And regarding Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu and also Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Khomeini says that they were disbelievers to such an extent that he had made claims that if he were to go to Medina and visit the tomb of the Holy Prophet, he would, if he had the strength to do so, he would actually dig up the grave of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu and punish them, astaghfirullah, because he didn't regard them as believers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you check through the ahadith, then many ahadith state that Abu Bakr and Umar were always next in rank to the Holy Prophet. So many hadith they indicate this fact. So Khomeini, he's an absolute liar. So as I've mentioned as an answer, so since the time of the Sahaba to this day, we believe very, very clearly that the Holy Prophet is the final prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran Kareem, ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explicitly mentioned in the Quran Kareem that the Holy Prophet ﷺ is the last prophet. Also in a hadith, the Holy Prophet ﷺ mentions, Ana khatamun nabiyyin la nabiyya ba'di, that I am the last of prophets and there shall be no prophet after me. This clearly indicates that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the last prophet, so saying that the rank of imamat surpasses, any other being. That basically indicates, according to them, it basically means that there are prophets after the Prophet ﷺ, which again is totally false and against the creed of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Regarding Hazrat Umar anhu, and also regarding Umar anhu, the Prophet ﷺ says that if there were to be a prophet after the Holy Prophet ﷺ, then it would be Umar anhu. But because there is no prophethood, so after the Prophet ﷺ, there will be no prophet. Lakana Umar, it would have been Umar. But again, after the Holy Prophet ﷺ, there are no more prophets. And to disregard Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq anhu as a Sahabi again goes against the Quran Kareem, because Abu Bakr anhu, his Sahabiyat and his companionship with the Holy Prophet ﷺ has been mentioned in the Quran Kareem, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, إِذْ قَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ, when the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Bakr Siddiq anhu, do not be grieved, when they were in the cave of Thor and they were hiding from the disbelievers. So again, we have verses from the Quran Kareem, and we also have hadith stating that the Holy Prophet ﷺ was the final prophet and the Sahaba were true in their faith. The third belief that the Shias hold is that all the Sahaba became disbelievers except for 4 Sahaba. So, and who are those 4 Sahaba? They say that Ali ibn Talib, Miqdad ibn al-Aswad, Hazrat Salman Farsi, and Abu Dhar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Only these 4 were believers, and all the other Sahaba were they regard as disbelievers. Again, a belief which is against Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually mentions in many places in the Quran Kareem where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Radiyallahu anhum wa radu an, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy and He's pleased with the Sahaba, and not only that, the Sahaba are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He promises the Sahaba paradise. The only person that can be guaranteed paradise in this world would be if they have iman, if you have read the kalima. So again, the Shia books claiming that all the Sahaba were kafir except for 4 is against the Quran Kareem, because the Quran Kareem again states that all the Sahaba were they were just, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was pleased with all the Sahaba. So this verse again indicates that the Sahaba, all of them, every single one of the Sahaba, they were just and they were Muslims. The fourth belief is the kalima that we read is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. But the kalima that the Shias have, they have a different kalima. Their kalima is La ilaha illallah Aliyun Waliyullah Wasiyu Rasulillah wa Khalifatu. So, like I mentioned before, that there are Shias, actually the majority of the Shias, who hold Hazrat Ali Ta'ala anhu in such high esteem that some Shias actually regard Hazrat Ali Ta'ala anhu as God. And also some Shias, they also believe that the Prophet ﷺ was given the revelation by mistake. So they believe that Ali Ta'ala anhu was higher rank than the prophets, and Ali Ta'ala anhu was one of the high imams. So what they've done here is they've distorted the kalima. So there are two elements to the kalima, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, the Holy Prophet Sallallahu is his last messenger, and to believe any other kalima than that, to take out the belief that the Holy Prophet Sallallahu was the last messenger is again disbelief, and will be tantamount to disbelief. The fifth belief is something called mut'a. Mut'a means having impermissible relationships. Now, regarding mut'a, there is a hadith which I'm going to mention in a moment. The Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they believe that mut'a is haram. When a person does get married to a spouse, then the intention should be that you're marrying each other for a long period of time. But according to the Shias, to marry for a temporary amount of time is also permissible. There's evidence, the evidence regarding this in the Quranic Kareem against the Shias is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quranic Kareem, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَىٰ أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly states that if a person is married, or if a person has a certain type of possession, then only is a person allowed to have a marital relationship. And also in the hadith, there was a time where mut'a it wasn't really called mut'a at that time. It was allowed for a few days, and then according to the hadith of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet sallallahu he forbade mut'a. Also at that time, he also forbade the meat of a donkey, and this was during the expedition of Khaybar. So the Quranic Kareem's ayat, the verse from the Quranic Kareem, and also the hadith explicitly and clearly states that mut'a is now forbidden. But according to the Shias, mut'a is something which is still valid and holds a lot of reward. Again, this is against the belief of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The sixth belief that they have is something called raj'at. Raj'at means to return. So what does raj'at actually mean? It means that when the last Imam appears, like I mentioned before, the Shias, they believe in 12 Imams. And there are many, many books which have refuted the claim of the 12 Imams. A great Sheikh Allama Qasim Nanotwi, rahmatullahi alayhi, he's written a book called Hadiyatul Shia. In the same manner, of another great scholar, Shah Waliullah Dehelwi, rahmatullahi alayhi, has written another book about the 12 Imams. So there are many books out there which refute their claims. So their belief is that when the Imam appears, the last Imam appears, whether it be believers, unbelievers, hypocrites, everybody will be taken into account by the last Imam, and any wrongdoers will be punished. What this basically means is that they believe that Imam Mahdi will appear at the end of time. We also believe that Imam Mahdi alayhi rahmah will appear at the end of time, but our belief regarding Imam Mahdi rahmatullah alayhi is different. So they believe that Imam Mahdi is at the moment he's hiding in a cave. The cave's name is Ghari Surra Man Ra'a, and he with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mu'mineen, Sayyida Fatima, Zahra radiallahu ta'ala anha, Hasan Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anha, and all the Imams and the believers, they'll come to life. They'll pledge allegiance and bay'ah on the hands of Imam Mahdi. He will then bring Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu ta'ala to life, and he'll basically punish them for what they've done. Astaghfirullah. I mean, like I said before, the companionship of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu has been mentioned in the Quran Kareem, and the companionship of Hazrat Umar who has been mentioned in various ahadith to such an extent that the Prophet ﷺ said that if there was to be a prophet after me, it would be Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, but there is not going to be any prophet after me. And um, they also believe that they'll bring Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha back to life, and they will punish her as well. Astaghfirullah. So I mean, just the mere thought of such beliefs and even bringing it upon one's tongue, you know, uh, it shocks a person in their heart. And so having such beliefs would not would be contradictory to the beliefs that we hold as Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So I've already explained that in this world, once a person has passed away, you will not be brought back to life again. The only time a person will be brought back to life is on the day of judgment. So having the belief that Imam Mahdi and will be bringing bringing such Sahaba back, other Sahaba back to life, that again is contradictory to Islam, because there is only going to be one resurrection, and that's going to be after death and after the day of Qiyamah. And the only being that has the right to punish and reward is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobody else. So this is why a very great scholar, Allama ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions that if a person is disrespectful towards the Sahaba, after considering it to be permissible to do this, then he's a kafir, because the Sahaba, regarding the Sahaba, like I mentioned before, in the Quran Kareem itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that he is happy with all the Sahaba and the Sahaba are happy with him. So to say that any Sahabi was a kafir and disbeliever, that is against the Quran Kareem. And also anybody who hears any abuse, Abu Bakr or Hazrat Umar again will not be regarded a believer, because one of having love for the Ahlul Bayt, having love for the family of the Prophet ﷺ, which includes Abu Bakr also includes Umar is a part of our iman. And this is why further on Allah ibn Taymiyyah says that any animals that are slaughtered by the Shia haram, they are not halal because the Shia themselves are not regarded as Muslims. A quick question somebody has here: who Shah Waliullah rahmatullah alayhi is one of the great scholars of the Indian subcontinent. Shah Waliullah rahmatullah was the scholar who actually brought hadith to India. One of the earliest scholars who brought hadith to India. And every scholar who graduates from the Indian subcontinent, their chain of transmission goes back to Shah Waliullah rahmatullah, a very great scholar. So that was Allama ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah. And also Mullah Ali Qari rahmatullah, again a very great scholar. He said that whoever rejects the caliphate of Abu Bakr anhu and Umar is also a kafir. Again, I've already mentioned that the companionship of the whole Abu Bakr anhu has been explained through the Quran Kareem and also through the Hadith. Okay, right. So I'm going to. Right. Okay. We'll carry on for a few minutes. Okay. Now, like I've mentioned before, that the Shias have like 12 groups. These are kind of the main 12 groups. There are scholars out there which have said that some Shia groups are not kafir, but I would imagine it would be extremely difficult to find a Shia group which do not hold one of these beliefs. And again, like I said, that Shias they hold the belief of taqiyya. Taqiyya means they hide their beliefs. So they will not ever tell you the truth in order to to lure you into their net of disbelief. They would hide their beliefs as much as possible. And another question, Allah ibn Taymiyyah again is a very great scholar. A very great scholar. He lived a few hundred years ago. Again, he's a very great scholar, but again, he does have his own opinions. And like every scholar has their own opinion. If you want any more detail, then I can text you through WhatsApp about these scholars. Okay. And what do the Shia have against Aisha Siddiqa? I'm going to explain in a moment. So, okay. So regarding Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa, I'm going to explain that after the break. So what I'd like you guys to do, can you please terminate the session and log in again, because the session is going to end in about 5 minutes. Jazakallah.